My name is Robert Kushner. I'm an artist. I live and work in New York City. The high points of my childhood were being in my mother's studio, Dorothy Browdy Kushner, of whose work this exhibition at Lyonel Gallery is devoted. The most fun and the most interesting parts of my childhood were when my mother had her friends over and they talked about art. And if I was allowed to sit in the studio, I just thought, this is it. This is the most interesting game in town. And for these women, it was passionate. And they were all abstract painters, were really powerful women. So this group of women, I think, were kind of in formation, and then it got crystallized taking classes from Richards Ruben, who was an abstract expressionist painter who had just been studying directly with Hans Hofmann. One of the topics that Hofmann taught was the theory of push-pull, but every shape you put on has a distinct directionality. It can either push or pull, and they had to be balanced. So there was a lot of talk. With this painting behind me, you can see those rectangular shapes. They're not just sitting there, they're kind of gently pushing against each other, pushing up, pushing down. And by the time it filtered through this Richards Ruben to Los Angeles, to the Arcadia High School, to these women, I think all of them got excited. But certainly Dorothy got excited and invited Richards Ruben to teach a group of them at high school extension at Arcadia High School. There's a lot of talk about light and dark. There's a lot of talk about positive and negative, which continues to today. So they were pretty up to date. Always on my mother's coffee table, there was a copy of Earl Loran Cézanne's compositions. That was ubiquitous. All of these artists had that, and they looked at it. So she worked in oil, she worked with casein, she worked with acrylic, and she always did watercolors, ink and watercolor on paper. Oil was the expectation of seriousness, and the one you have that sums that up completely is Purple, the diptych, where she was looking a lot at Franz Klein, late Klein, where it's just very decisive, thick brushstrokes, and the oil has its own tactility. She really let the colors sing. And with the reds, she would always put in little accents of turquoise or blue, and with the blues and greens, she'd always put in accents of red. And I think it gave her an identity, a self-identity she could work with. There are a tremendous number of paintings where, if this is the painting, there's a very high horizon. And there might be trees. Quite often there's water. Quite often there's land and then a little, either a river or an inlet, and then more land and then sky. But the dividing point is always very high. And I started wondering where that came from. And one of the first things I started looking at was Pierre Bonnard, whose work she loved. She would get reproductions of Bonnard and just cut out a little corner and blow that up. And his color combinations were really extraordinary. And many of them have that high horizon. I never thought about it, but I flipped through a Bonnard book and said, almost all of them have that high horizon. And she didn't stop painting until she was really satisfied. She might repaint the whole painting 2, 3, 4 times. She would just repaint and repaint and repaint. And all of that shows through, particularly when you have them in a room with a really good light and you look at them and you see, wow, there must be 20 shades of green in there. Cool blues and warm blues. So many reds. Those were I think her favorite colors.